Hello and welcome to Zasaa Zooms In. Today I had a conversation with a Delight, my beautiful Delight, and we spoke about worth, value. Am I enough? You know, it's one of those things where sometimes I think, particularly as women, we never think that we're good enough. So it was an interesting conversation that we had just talking about whether we think we're good enough and why we think we're good enough or we think we're not good enough. It was interesting to see how when we looked at different situations, especially with Delight, she was immediate, like, yeah, of course I'm good enough. And then other ones, she would hesitate. So it was an interesting conversation. This is what we had to say. Hey, Delight.
Hello, TBK. Or Zasaa.
Yes, Zasaa zooms in. So what are we talking about today? I think we should talk about value, worth. Are you good enough? Now, the reason I want to talk about this is because I think, personal opinion, certainly women, I think that women struggle with that more so than men. That we always, I don't know why, we just don't think we're good enough for whatever. So I'm going to ask you a question. Do you think you're good enough?
And see, I come back with the question saying, good enough in what way? Which makes me wonder because I feel like I should be off the bat saying yes, but yet I'm already questioning.
So if I said good enough to be a mother?
Yes.
Wife?
95% of the time.
Child? Daughter?
Yes.
Why? Why was that so easy? Is it because you feel like to be a daughter you don't have to do anything to be good enough?
It just comes very instinctively.
Just like mother, because with mother you said yes very quickly, but with wife you hesitated.
Yes.
Okay. Sister?
Yes.
Again, instinctive.
Yeah.
Instinctive.
Yeah.
Let me think what other role. In your work, do you think you are good enough?
Yes.
You hesitated.
Yeah. Because obviously, I guess if they're like measurable things, yes, I definitely was. I hit obviously my goals and that type of thing. But I think in that kind of work, you kind of sometimes step back and have I done enough? Did I do enough? So that's why I think I would hesitate a little bit there.
So not on an instinctive, because you see what I'm trying to pull out here is the ones that you said yes to quickly is like you didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
Yes. And you said it was because it was instinctive.
Yeah.
So it's like something that was in there. Now obviously for work it was something you were trained for. With the other ones you were not trained for. You were born into or whatever. But with work you were trained for. So I guess maybe my question is how much self-development do we do before we're enough? Does that make sense? Do we have to do before we feel we're enough? I think for me, you asked me that question, do I think I'm enough?
Yes.
And a bag of chips, I am so enough. Do you know what I mean? As in like, it's almost an arrogant thing, but because I feel like if you are not my friend, and it sounds so wrong to say this, I feel for you. Like I just think, wow, you don't know what you're missing.
Yeah.
You don't know. But have I always been like this? Absolutely not. Do you know what I mean? So it's not, have I always felt like and do I still feel like I'm enough? Even though I say to you, yes, I'm enough and a bag of chips, there's a certain amount of head knowledge in that and not heart knowledge. So let's say maybe 30% of it is head knowledge and 70% is heart. So that's why I can tell you at a bag of chips. But that doesn't mean that there isn't still that bit where I'm questioning myself.
Yeah.
Thinking, oh, am I good enough for it? There's certain things where, because, let me give you an example. Because I don't have educational qualifications that are beyond, I have a degree. I'm not stupid, right? I have a degree, I'm educated. But you know how people have all these letters behind their names, they have all this, and they're just like so accomplished in the academic sphere. When I go into a room with those type of people, even though I'm probably more intelligent than most of them, I would know how
it's a little bit intimidating.
Yes, because I'm just like, am I enough to actually have this conversation? Will they even give me the time of day because they know that I'm not on their level on an academic thing?
Mm-hmm.
So there's always those type of
yeah.
am I enough thing. I know I am. I know that by the time they start speaking to me, they will realize that actually she has a lot to offer. She, that sort of thing. But then also some of that is on me because when they start speaking to me, when you're intimidated, sometimes you can just say rubbish. So it now looks like you're actually quite stupid when you're not. You know what I mean? When something is. So I think that thing of being enough is so important because were we not talking about this before that you teach people how to treat you?
Yeah.
If you don't think you are good enough, they are not going to think you're good enough. And there's something about, even if you don't mean to do it, there's something that you give up. They say you attract what you, I don't know what that thing is that they say that, what is that phrase? There's a phrase
like what you put out,
what you put out is what you attract.
Yes,
something like that, yes. So I think that there's that whole thing of when you don't think you're good enough, somehow it's like you got it across your forehead saying I'm not good enough, and then those vultures that come and prey on the vulnerable are the ones that are going to come and get you.
Target.
You know what I mean? And you don't understand why it's the same sort of people that you attract, that it's the same sort of, So that thing of being good enough. Okay, I'm going to ask you one more question. Are you a good enough driver?
Yes.
Why did you say yes to that so quickly? Because that is not instinctive and you are
No,
trained to do it.
Because I've had no accidents. I don't know, actually. No, it's a good question.
Do you know what I mean? I don't
no,
know.
It's a very weird question. I mean, I'm very confident. Other people may say I'm not a good driver. But that's a good one.
Because I often wonder, because what do I think? I mean, am I good enough overall? Absolutely. Well, I mean, obviously, because we're Christians, that even takes it to a different level because we know that we're worthy regardless.
Yes.
So that takes it. But even as Christians, the truth is that sometimes you still question your worth in certain situations. Do I think I'm a good enough wife? Look, I think every man, I think every woman needs a wife. I really do. I feel like, I feel like, I'm a good wife. I'm sure this is probably coming out really arrogant and whatnot, but I just think
she's like,
I'm a good wife. Am I a good mother? I question myself sometimes on the motherhood one because yes, on a basis, I'm a good mother. I'm not a bad mother, but sometimes I guess it's what you were saying about could I have done more. Maybe, maybe that's what's because sometimes I just think maybe I could have been better at this. I could have done this better. I mean, sometimes I feel like if I was talking to my first son the other day about my first child and about how he has been a scapegoat for many things
on the learning curve.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Once
note to self that did not work.
So you know what I mean. Like you do. I guess is that my Angelou thing where you say you do the best you can when you know better. You do better.
Yes.
Luckily, I was okay with it, but I do feel like he's had the worst. He really, not that he's suffered, that's taking it a bit far, but he hasn't had the best in terms. So if you say to me, am I a good mom? I know I'm a good mom, but I know that there's so many places I could be better. Now, would I say that about being a wife? I feel that there's always places you can be better.
Yeah.
Always places you can be better. But I wouldn't be as quick to say that about being a wife as I would with being a mother. Do you know what I mean? Because I feel like the wife thing, I took it on my head and I was like, this is what it is to be a wife. I did all my studying, mainly biblical, I did all my, so I was like, this is what's and this is what I'm going to do regardless. So I kind of did that. Now with parenting, I did the same thing, but it's different because you then have, it's a moving target. I don't know, I feel like a husband is not such a moving target.
Yes, yeah.
He's come as a husband and he's there, but I feel like a child, when they're this age, then there's different things you need to do. When they're this age, so it's
constantly
changing. Constant thing.
Yeah.
So even if you've done everything, you just don't know. And then I learned that, talking about parenting now as we switch, you have to parent them individually. As opposed to
the approach that works for one does not necessarily work for the other.
So you can't. So that thing of am I a good enough mother? Yes, I'm a good mother. I mean, of course, we're good enough, but I think I question it sometimes because of things like that. You know, like I think, oh gosh, I could have done that better. I could have. I guess maybe that's the same thing in life. We could have done. I'm trying to think of something else to ask you, whether you were good enough or something that.
But it's funny from the wife point of view. I think it's because their decisions you make, like you decide, are you going to be subservient? You decide if you're going. Whereas the motherhood thing, it has to be done. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know.
The decisions are kind of out of your hands.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just feel like there's things you just automatically, and this is why I say it's instinctive. I feel like I just automatically do them and didn't have a moment to almost be like, am I going to bend my way this? Am I going to agree to, you know, like,
yeah. You just
it is what it is. Yeah. So I think that's why I said,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Are you a good enough friend? This is a good one. Are you a good enough friend?
Yes.
Would your friend say that?
Again, I said, you know, the reason I guess I hesitate because obviously there are people you're closer to than other people.
Yeah.
You've got your ride or die people basically.
So let's put it for your ride or die people, you're a good friend.
Yes.
They're a good enough friend.
Yeah.
Okay. For the others, you try.
I think I'll confess that I've dropped the baton a few times, you know, not reaching out when I should, you know, as much or certain things, but I think everybody gets caught up in daily life, which is a bad excuse at times too. So I think there are times where I should have done better or been more present.
You see, it's so interesting because you see, for me, friendship is such a key part of who I am. If you ask me if I'm a good enough friend, I think I'm a good friend. But you know, I have many friends. And depending on which friend you ask, I may not be a good. I don't think any of them will say I'm a bad friend, but you know, there might be some things they expected of me. I had a conversation. I don't know if you saw the thing I did the other day, one of the Zasaa Zooms in, and it was about, I was talking to Sandra about expectations, and I was saying, at what point are you allowed to expect certain things? And so we were talking about our friendship, me and Sandra, and she was like, I expect you. I said, do you expect me to tell you before I come to Nigeria? And she was like, not only do I expect you to tell me before you go, I expect you to tell me when you are thinking about it before, you know, not when you come, you know what I mean? Yeah. Because of our relationship. I was saying, what gives you the right to that expectation? She said, because we're close enough, that's our relationship. And I think that's the challenge, see, the expectations that sometimes do we meet up to those expectations. So in this thing back to me, am I a good friend? I think there's some friends that have expectations that maybe I don't meet. I don't think they will say I'm a bad friend, but I'm not, the ones that want to go out every Friday night, and I'm just not going to do that. You know what I mean? But they think that, we need to hang out, we haven't hung out, So I think it's that good enough friends. This is interesting. What other roles do you play? So we do wife, mother, friend, worker, what we did, parent.
Daughter.
Oh yeah, that's mother with a daughter, sibling. That's essentially it, isn't it?
I think so.
So why
all our numerous hats?
Yeah, but you see, so when I said to you, are you good enough? And you said, I'll ask you in what area. What other areas were you thinking?
I don't know, actually. No, I think
because we've covered all the areas. And to be fair, you didn't really hesitate. I mean, you hesitated slightly at wife, and you hesitated slightly at worker, but for the reasons that you know, for valid reasons. And you said, think is again, now what, you see, this is the other thing. What is good enough?
Yeah.
Because what your husband thinks is good enough, my husband might not think is good enough. So, I can look at you and say, I'm actually not a good enough wife.
Yeah.
Because I'm using my husband's standards, but those are not your husband's
standards.
That's
a
you know what I mean? So it's like,
that's
and then, so what standard are we going to use to decide whether we're good enough? That's why it's good that we're Christians, so we can use God's standard. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Because in the end, what is a good enough friend? Whose standard? What's good enough to you?
Yeah, no, exactly. For somebody, it could be like, oh, you check in once a week. For somebody else, it's like, oh, we have to talk every day. Like,
look, I have one friend that wanted to be talking. I told her, hey, it's not going to happen. If we're going to end our friendship because of this, because I can't do that high maintenance. And my friends have to know that. Yeah. That I cannot do that every day. I don't think I ever could. I mean, I find that a bit stalky. I find that a bit creepy. You know what I mean? Because
so if you're that friend, sorry. No, I'm joking.
There's certain periods, like I know that there are periods when a friend is going through something and will speak to them every day.
Yeah.
That's a period thing. But to expect me to be on the phone to you every day,
No,
No,
yeah,
I can't.
no, I agree.
I can't.
I agree.
But there's some people that's how their relationships are. I think they need therapy.
I mean, I think when I was younger, it was like that. You know, obviously.
I don't even know if when I was younger it was like that. But I just find it most interesting because I remember the first time this particular friend said this to me, and it must have been late 20s. And she was upset with me because I hadn't called her the day before. And I didn't really even understand what the problem was. And so she was like, "But you didn't call me yesterday." Like, you know, she was like, "Well, you have to call every day. How will I know that?" She, okay, I said it right there. I stopped her right there. I said, let's end this friendship right here because, and she was a friend I met later in life, so she wasn't like a childhood friend.
Okay.
Like she didn't know me like that. I was like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
There's no way
Yeah.
I can do that. No way. Your expectations, but maybe that's a thing now, coming back to expectations. Maybe I manage my expectations because we remain friends. Maybe that's what we need to do is like literally tell them what you're asking me to do, I can't even give it to you.
Yeah.
So don't even go there and don't be upset with me for not being able to reach those expectations when I can't. I feel like I'm the only one talking in this conversation.
No, you're right. Like you said, setting those expectations. The problem is though, if you went in talking all the time and then you stop, you've set yourself up.
Yeah, but then isn't that, you see, this is why these things are living relationships. Things change.
Yeah.
They all change. You know, you come in
a different season.
Exactly. You don't have the time for this. So your friend should be able to adjust.
Yeah.
You know, to fit in. I don't know, whatever, to your season. But yeah, I can see why that would be a bit of a challenge because all of a sudden you're changing stuff. But one hopes that the type of friends you have will see.
Yeah,
if it's out of the blue, then perhaps that would be concerning. But if there's, sometimes and there's that quote that's a very famous quote that some friends are there for a reason, some are there for a season, some are there for a lifetime. And I think sometimes we hold on to things that we have no business holding on to just because we think that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So maybe that's with those, if the friend doesn't understand, maybe that was just a season.
And it's okay.
It's okay. You're not fighting.
Yeah.
It's okay. You don't have to be rude to each other, but that relationship has changed. And, something, yeah. So, I'll ask you again. Do you think you're good enough?
Yes.
Yes!
Yes.
Okay, can we try that again? Because there was not enough. Although it was better, I didn't feel like there was. I feel you could be a bit more convinced.
Okay, ask me again.
Do you think you're good enough?
100%. 100%.
Now it's a bit too far the other way. Anyway, the point is, well, it's interesting because you see, when we broke it down like that, I think it makes it.
It's tangible. You're like, actually, I am. Why am I questioning?
Yeah.
Why was I thinking? And even the reason why you thought, or I thought I wasn't. You're like, really? In the grand scheme of things, is that actually what matters?
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting because I've never broken it down like that before, so I'm going to be doing that.
Yeah.
Because I always have a problem. I'm always wondering why certain people, because like I say, it's very common with girls where they just think they're not good. Like, okay.
But also, I'm like, I think also in my instinct when you asked me was, if I say yes, am I being cocky?
Did you hear how cocky I was?
I know, and I love it, and I celebrate it, and I'm like, hey, I need to,
Yeah, no, but I think within, there's a cockiness. I don't even know if it's cockiness. You have to know who you are. You have to know what you're worth. You have to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because everything for me, it stems from that. Because then you know when somebody's treating you badly and you don't allow it. If you don't know, they treat you badly, you don't know they're being treated badly, you're even grateful that they're talking to you.
Yeah. So that's an interesting point. So I think I know it, and I should shout it out a little bit more so that people treat me the way, like you said, how you allow people to treat you. So maybe if I'm quiet about it, people can therefore not mistreat. That's not the right word, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I need people to come in to my space and know that yes, I am.
Yes, you're making a very valid point, but I think one of the things we have to do more as women, well, I would say, look at a woman, okay, so maybe men need to do it too, but one of the things we need to do more is speak up. So it's not even, like you said, I should shout it out. You don't even necessarily need to shout it out, but when we're going into boundaries, when somebody goes where they have no business going, you need to tell them, no, this far and no more. Because by doing that, you now they realize that actually she values whatever it is, and you set things in, so
yeah.
you now know, because it's
Respect,
unfair. I
yeah.
mean, someone called me the other day and she was upset because some gentleman had, I don't know if he done something that she thought was inappropriate. Nothing major, but the way he spoke to her, and she, she was like, he's disrespecting me. And I was like, but did you draw the boundary lines? How does he know where the boundary is if you haven't drawn the line?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think we will stop there and talk about boundaries next. Because
Sounds
we're not
good.
going into
I know.
boundaries.
It's a great conversation, great topic.
And I don't want this to be too long. But yes, I think we'll stop there. So yes, so you're good enough.
I am.
We're all good enough. We just have
are.
to believe it.
We are.
And I think when we believe it, we act differently. We do act differently. I mean, I do, but I always say this thing about inner work. It's not, it doesn't just happen sometimes. No. If you haven't had the right thing put into you from day one, you have to put it into yourself to get that inner work, to get to the point where, you actually feel like you're good about yourself and whatnot. Thank you very much, Delight.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're going to talk about boundaries next.
Okay.
Fantastic. Well, there you have it. So are you enough? Do you think that you're good enough? What determines whether or not you are good enough? I personally, as a Christian, I believe that all of us are good enough. I know that sometimes it's hard for us to believe that ourselves. And I know that sometimes there are enough people telling us that we're not good enough. And so that doesn't make it any easier. But I think I referred to inner work and how we have to do the inner work. We have to understand that we are good enough. And yes, we're not perfect, but that doesn't mean that we're not good enough. Good enough is not about perfection. Good enough is actually just about being exactly who you are supposed to be. And that is enough. The person that you are, that God created you to be, is enough. Now, obviously, that doesn't make us perfect, and there are things we can work on to make ourselves better, etc. But the fact that we're not perfect does not mean that we're not good enough. And the sooner that we begin to realize and tell ourselves that we are good enough, the sooner we will start to act like we're good enough, and it will make a difference. It makes a huge difference when you believe that you're good enough. It makes a difference to the way you respond to others. It makes a difference to the way you interact with others. It makes a difference to everything. It makes a huge difference. So here's a challenge. If you think that you are not good enough, can I challenge you to please do the inner work? Understand that you are good enough, but you need to believe that for yourself. So you need to go and do some inner work, as I call it, just finding out why you think you're not good enough and change the narrative in your head so that you know that actually, you know what? I'm not perfect, but I'm good enough. And there are things that I have to work on, but I'm good enough. Let us know how you get on. God bless you.